YouTube watchers. Sorry. Hey there, YouTube watchers. This is Daniel Faust and Learn and Live. Our lesson for today is health and leadership. Are you watching? Because you might not be. So I'm going to give you a couple stories to go show if you were watching or not, because this is where I didn't go over and watch and where some other people didn't watch. So I was going over, and there's two stories. One's personal and one's professional. Well, I'll give three. There we go. So first story is I was going over, and I wasn't a leader, but I was just a coworker, and I was working with a gentleman, and I won't give names. And he went over and exuded some problems, and they weren't major red flag things. They were more, yellow flag things. And time just went along, and I was working with him. We went over and worked together, and then I got diverted to another assignment because I was on military drill. So they're like, you don't need to go back to DC. You can go back to Washington State, go be with your family. We'll put you on that assignment for a few weeks, and then we'll put you on travel again. So I went home after drill weekend. So I'm in Arkansas, and I go fly out all the way back to Washington State. I get to see my family. I wake up the next morning, and I'm grinding out doing my job. I'm doing IT at the time, and I'm going from computer to computer to computer. Something popped on the TV, and they said, there is a shooting at the DC Naval Yard. And I'm like, I was just there. I'm starting to call friends and everything else, and they said, and see how they're doing. I come to find out, yeah, it's somebody from X company. And I'm like, I work for that company. And that gentleman went over and popped 12 people. I found out it was my coworker, and he popped and killed 12 people. Boom. Mic drop, right? I'm not even a leader at the time. I'm a coworker in this situation, and he was struggling with mental health and emotional health issues, and we didn't do anything. And everybody blamed everybody else. But guess what? Every person that had his eyes, including me, are responsible in a sense of we could have said something. We diverted it off. And we definitely do that as leaders. Sometimes as leaders, we have this 3,000-foot view, and we see people having problems physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, in their health, and we sit there and we do nothing. Same case again, years earlier in this regard. I'm a lot younger at this point. I'm like in my late 20s compared to my early 30s. And someone that I'm staying with, their daughter was having issues. They were emotional and whatnot. And I saw more of the flaggers because I worked in mental health at the time. I was more privy of it because I was working with it every day. But I, again, justified and said the mom would get involved, the dad would get involved, the brothers and sisters would go over and do something, the church pastor, the 1,500 people that know this family and very influential. Get a call one day and get told, hey, don't come back to the house. Christine went over and hung herself. Again, mic drop, boom. Totally impacted and everything else. And then the worst one to go over, and in a sense of professionally, and I'm detached from this one, I got this from a story that I got told, is that I was teaching this class in California. I teach across the nation. I teach different courses. I'll be in Ohio next week teaching some IT courses. And so I go over and I'm teaching a course, Managing Emotions Under Pressure. And I'm going to each city, and my last city is San Diego, California. Very beautiful city, out in the Marriott, big hotel over the water and everything else. All the money's down there. Teaching a course with about 100 people in the room, going over and get everything set up. Teach my first segment, go on break. A woman pops up to me and says, yeah, I'm very thankful for I went to this class. There's a lot of lessons I'm glad to go and learn. I wish my friend was here, because she had real difficulty managing her emotions under pressure. She had a heart attack yesterday. Man, 3 mic drops in my life and going and realizing, like, boom, we see people's health issues physically, mentally, and emotionally, and even spiritually. And we're watching it, and we think someone else is going to go and get involved. As us as leaders specifically, we need to go over and get involved. But you're saying to yourself, that's too much in people's Kool-Aid. I don't know how I'm going to go operate that. I don't know if I'm going to get myself in trouble. Here's a couple recommendations to go over and do, and go automatically. Please go check with your employment office, activity office, how far you can go. But this is what I would go and establish. This is what I establish in my business, and this is what I establish with people as much as I can. Number one, you have to go over and preface this before doing it. So you get a new coworker that comes in, you get them set, you get them established, you get them in processed and everything. And when you go over and get them settled in a feedback, you can go over and say, is this? So you do your informal feedback because you're their supervisor, you're their leader, and say, hey, I have a real heart for going over and caring for people. I've seen too many things going on for the news. I've seen too many people going over and dying. I've seen too many people going over and getting hurt. And I would like to be a conduit, and if you would be okay with this, that if I see something physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually just off the radar, I would like to be able to point it out and then help you if I can to help you get to that place. I don't want you to go not thrive. I don't want you to survive. I want you to thrive. I want you to be able to grow. I want you to have opportunities to get promoted. I want you and your family to go over and thrive. And that's what we hired you, because you're really capable and have a lot of skills, and we don't want to just wait until everything hits the fan. So if I see something, may I go over and speak and get that permission? And then also as a caveat, you want to go over and be like, hey, I want to give you permission. This is part two. To you permission to say, if you see things wrong with me, because we're directly working together, that if there's anything physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritual radar that you go over and see, I want you to point that out at me so I can go over and thrive and be the best supervisor, be the best leader to you. If we go over and do that, start there, then the precedent is set early on. Now, what if you're going over and jumping in with this, and now you just saw this and like, that's actually a good process. Maybe I should add that in. Then I would go over and corral your team together and say, hey, I've been thinking about this, and also you want to check with HR and all these other places and make sure that you're doing this correctly to go over and set this as establishment and precedence. You give formative instruction to the team in group, and then you pull each people aside personally afterwards to go over and to see if they're okay in that particular regard. And you want to do this as a character thing, not as just some hype, or hey, an active shooter just happened, I go over and do this. This is something that needs to be a regular presence, and you check in how they're doing. Hey, I'm just coming by, doing quality checks, pull them aside, do it organically as much as possible. That's, you're gonna know, you'll be able to do that. And then they should be able to organically speak into your life too, in that particular regard. The third thing I would say as supervisors to go over, if you establish this in health, is that you need to know the resources to help your people when they come to you, needing physical help, health issues, mental health issues, emotional health issues, spiritual health issues, to a point. I'm not saying to know everything, but here's a resource that most Americans don't know. I can help a lot with the mental and the emotional and the spiritual and even the physical health issues, and even if it jumps into finances every once in a while, because people will struggle with that, especially if they're in the beginning in employment or made some stupid financial decisions. 211.org. Go on the website or go over and call the number. You can call it nationwide. If there are issues of, like, let's say it's battered spouse, domestic abuse, depression, I'm suicidal, those types of things, or hey, I need health resources and whatnot, they can go over and they collaborate all those resources, and usually them are nonprofit or low cost and whatnot, and they can give you those resources. Also, as a leader, if you have an equal opportunity office, an employment activity office, something to that effect, you want to go connect with them, and also your HR on what helping resources they have available. Most people go over and wait until everything hits the fan. Us as leaders, we're supposed to be empowered to go help them before everything hits the fan. Why do I want to go lose my coworker to physical health problems, or mental problems, or emotional problems, or even spiritual problems? We've invested a lot into these people, and we want them to thrive and to cultivate, not just for the bottom dollar, but for the overall well-being of humanity, and then thriving to the mission that we have as our business. At Learn and Live, we want you to thrive from the bedroom to the boardroom. So if I'm not thriving in the bedroom or the boardroom or the in-between, then me as a leader and as a good friend, I could go over and say, like, especially if I've had resources that helped me in the past, to share that and to go and to love on people so they can go serve, and vice versa, that people hopefully does that with me. So leadership is an outpouring of your marriage and family. So just like we go over and serve our kids, and we serve our spouses, we should be serving our people with that type of compassion. I'm not trying to say you need to get all in their Kool-Aid and know everything about them, but wouldn't that be great if you truly and authentically knew the people that you were working with, and when they have those ups and downs that you can go over and help them and they can go over and help you, and you can truly thrive together as a team? Isn't that a beautiful thing? Something to think about today. I'm going to let you guys go. Any questions, comments, and things, connect with us on Facebook and go over, and we have some events that are coming up. Go over and connect with us on Facebook. We have some really great events coming up in the next 24 to 72 hours. Connect with us on Facebook. Connect with us on Periscope. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.